Welcome to Sweeping the Country. I'm your host, Derek Walker. Alongside me, as he is every week, Mr. Jimmy Carter. Hey, Jimmy.
Hello, hello, hello. Boy, I tell you, we've run through 2 months already of the year. They seem to have kind of gone fast. I don't know. Some days it does, some days it doesn't. I'm still exhausted from watching some of the State of the Union.
Wait a second. Did you say not all? Some?
I couldn't get through it. I had to go to bed. I had a 4:30 wake-up call, and I made it for an hour. I think I made it for an hour.
Yeah.
Maybe a little tad more than that, but I didn't see it all.
I didn't either.
I saw enough, though. It's exhausting watching the people stand up and sit down. That wears me out.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a Republican or a Democrat. That would keep me from going to the thing, having to stand up and sit down.
I agree, and it makes it so much longer. It just makes it.
It's the whole thing is, it's what I like about it. No matter if it's a Democrat or a Republican president, I don't care. They always bring in special guests.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
And that's cool. I think it's always somebody that's, you would never see otherwise. The helicopter, the Coast Guard swimmer, that saved all the people, or these 100-year-old veterans. I can't get enough of that ever.
I like that too.
I loved seeing the hockey team.
Yeah, that was great.
That was great. And, and I really like it. It's very, I'm mad at the 70 Democrats that didn't show up. Because I think that's part of your duty to show up.
Right.
And I would say the same thing if Republicans. I don't think they didn't show up for Biden, I don't remember.
Let me ask you a question. They work for us, right? We voted them in. They work for us. If you had an employee, which they would be our employee or government employee, right? How long would you last just not showing up to work? I mean,
in this case, it's a ceremonial thing, and maybe it's work.
Okay.
I just think it's just something Hakeem Jeffries. I'm not really a big fan of his.
Yeah.
But he sat there.
He was there.
And he kept a neutral stance, whenever they did show him.
Yeah.
He wasn't. Now, some of these folks on the Democratic side, man, this is what, I don't know who the 70 people were exactly that weren't there.
Yeah.
I almost think they are younger people, younger congressmen and women that didn't go, I think. And the Democrats really needed to have them on camera last night.
Yeah.
Because what they ended up with, one of these senators, and I don't want to name his name, but he looked like he was 1 foot in the grave. And then you had, Chuck Schumer and Dick Durbin together, and they looked like two guys at the old folks' home. And they didn't have it just didn't look good.
Yeah.
When they did cut the Democrats in on a picture. And they just didn't look organized, and maybe that's fine. But they also didn't want to go in there. Well, Omar and her friend, it's on the squad. They just kept yelling, at Trump.
I think they thought they were speaking that night. I don't know the last time.
It's hard to sit there and take it. I get it, because Trump was saying they were crazy, and sometimes and he blurts out what he thinks. Yeah, and when they can't stand up for something that everybody should stand up for.
Yeah.
It's obviously they don't have a head cheerleader there that gives them the okay sign when it's okay to stand up and not okay when you don't.
They definitely
because they're looking for direction. They don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's true.
Trump gets them all confused.
But it proves the point, and you've said it over and over. But it absolutely proves the point when you say if he found a cure for cancer, they would be pissed off. And so here we see him doing it, right? When he says something like, Elizabeth Warren clapped for something. I think it had to do with
she was
trading.
Happy it was something to do with the mortgages or
no, it was
stock.
Like it was buying market.
Tell them they can't get rich off of. Which Pelosi has done.
Yeah.
And they all ought to stand up for that. But we'll see if they have the nerve to pass something like that. Just the whole thing just discourages. I'm tired. I had someone write me, and I had several people tell me they thought it was the best State of the Union they'd ever seen.
Okay.
And there were parts of it that I could see. It's like when you're cheerleading, when you're happy for your football team.
Yeah.
And if you're in a real rivalry game, which that is, and your team is doing all kinds of stuff and saying good things, and and scoring points, you're happy for them. And, that's the best speech I've ever heard because I got to stand up 38 times or whatever it is. And the Democrats, boom. Now, what does matter is when things are going to get to the primaries and which are coming up in Texas right now, and getting to where they've redistricted. It's just the Democrats, they were so mad after losing that election.
They're still mad.
Now, I ask people, and just the people who are Republicans who don't like Trump, and there are a lot of people that are mad at Trump too.
Yeah, sure.
Because they just kind of had enough of Trump. Mm-hmm. And I say, well, all right, look what he has done try to look at it in a positive way of what he has accomplished. And he has accomplished a lot of different things. Now, he's working against a news media that is completely biased. I don't care. I mean, they're biased to the right on Fox, and they're biased to the left on everything else.
Absolutely.
So, you really can't get a ruling. I'm still confused of whether the tariffs made all our expenses go up or not. And I'm still confused on that. I'm still confused on, I think he could have made things better if he gave us all that $2,000 or $3,000 check he was talking about.
Oh, of course.
Because that would have made up for some of these $30 lunches I've had, that have been ridiculous, that should have been 20 or should have been 15 and they were 25.
I got to agree with you on that point because they talked about it last night. He talked about it in the State of the Union. This has gone down and this has gone down and this has gone down. And then I think to myself, wow, I just went out to dinner the other night for two people. It was $95. It doesn't seem like it went down. So
no, it didn't. And part of that is Democrats, because the first thing they did with Biden is they screwed up the gas and made the gasoline skyrocket. Things started getting more and more expensive when the gas doubled in price nearly.
Yes.
And that made every price that we have go up because everything we have comes to us in a car or a truck. So, and what did they do with that? Well, they raised the minimum wage to keep up for the lowest people on the common denominator to try to help them make up.
Sure.
So what does that mean? When you raise the minimum wage, you got to charge more for your product. And so that made all our lunches and dinners go up. And it made that basic stuff go up. So it was a dog chasing its tail. And explain to me what the Democrats have, what is their plan for the economy? Their only plan seems to be that they hate Trump.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That seems to be their only plan, because what is it? What are you going to do to make affordability? They passed the medical thing that with Obamacare that absolutely, I think anybody that's looked at it knows that your medical stuff is worse. And with all the crazy immigration going to any emergency room in the last, maybe 1 year ago, I don't know how it is today.
Yeah.
But, that was being used as a doctor's office by people who were non-citizens. And that made and they didn't have any money. Yeah. So they were having to give free medical care. I mean, the Democrats really screwed things up, and they can clean it up and do everything they want to do. But that's just a fact. Well, now, has Trump been too much? Is he like getting drunk on cream de mint? Yeah. I mean, it's just he's a lot to hold. I mean, I agree. God, he's it's just there's both are exhausting.
Yeah.
Then you got that Al Green congressman from Texas. It's holding up signs.
I don't even know where did that come from, Jimmy? I just don't understand where that even comes from. And again, unless it's from an anger point or it's from a
anger.
I don't know.
His side lost.
I don't know.
It's just they're not happy. And remember their whole philosophy that they announced and they made very clear was to oppose.
That's it. That's the whole plan.
That was their whole plan, was to oppose. And that's why you don't have the Department of Homeland Security in session right now. And Secret Service agents and others are going to be sleeping in their cars, TSA agents, I think I heard, and all this stuff, which is just screwed up. And Democrats don't care. They don't seem to care.
They don't.
I thought they were the party of the working man. So you want to make these people who are the working people suffer? Because you're mad at the immigration enforcement that was handled ham-handedly.
Yeah,
but back to the Democrats and some of the blame deal. Let's get the blame on the right side of the page. If the city of Minneapolis had enforced traffic laws and not allowed people to drive crazy, and block roads and do all that kind of stuff, you wouldn't have had a confrontation with the ice guy, and you wouldn't have had anything else go on. You don't wave a red flag in a wild bull's face. I mean, I'm telling you, they shouldn't have been allowed to do that. Enforce the law, and then then it doesn't make it right. I don't those shootings. Some of that stuff didn't look right to me, and I don't know if we'll ever get an accurate hearing. I feel bad for everybody involved with that.
I do too.
I went, wow, that didn't seem like he was getting that threatened, to let those, to fire like that. But they're nervous and they don't know where anything's coming from. They don't have any backup. And so you're going to get stuff like that.
Well, and there
don't have support.
There is a segment of the society we live in today that seem to think we don't need rules. And there's always been a piece of that pie out there, right?
And as soon as the Chinese decide to invade Oregon or
then
Alaska or something like that, I mean, you're going to learn, that's the only thing that's going to make this country, I hate it. But remember, for a little while, we had a feeling of not being so distant from our neighbors and being so opposite. Was right after 9/11.
You're right, and there's a group of people listening right now that probably weren't even around.
They weren't even alive for that. And
you're right. You're right.
I can tell you that there was a really feeling of, of care for your next neighbor, because you didn't know if your city was going to be the next.
No, it's true.
When was the next shoe going to drop? And did you hear the other day?
Yeah.
This is something that was on YouTube, and I'd never seen it. Because we're coming up on the 25th anniversary of 9/11 this September.
Mm-hmm.
There was the one plane that flew into the World Trade Center. There was the second plane that flew into the World Trade Center.
Yes.
There was the third plane that flew into the Pentagon.
Let's roll.
There was the fourth plane. That was the Let It Roll people.
Yep, that's right.
That flew it into Pennsylvania.
The ground,
into the farmland of Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Did you know there was a fifth plane?
I did not.
I didn't either till I watched this documentary the other night.
Yeah,
Kennedy Airport. It was United Flight 23, I think.
Did it never get off the ground?
It never got off the ground. But
fascinating.
Because things started getting fouled. It was running late because it was a Kennedy to Los Angeles run.
Mm-hmm.
They were having trouble with food service, and the people in first class. There were several of these hijackers in either first or business class, and one in something else, and they didn't have the right meals. And the guy, the I don't know, the hijacker guy who said, "Well, don't worry about that. Let's just go. We just need to go. Don't wait on the food. No, we got to get the food in here.
I'll be darned. Really?"
And so there was another guy. The flight attendants all seemed to know, and this is before they knew everything was going on. One guy was sweating really bad, and it wasn't any time to be sweating.
Yeah.
These folks up there in first class, there was a man in the Habib thing or whatever they call it,
Hajib,
their face.
Yeah.
But that face, you just see their eyes.
Yeah.
And they were sure that it was a man based on his hand, not a woman. And so all that's just conjecture.
So what happened to that plane?
Then they pull it back because then the planes have crashed in, and so the airport's closed, so they got to go back, to get off the plane. So all these people get off the plane. I don't know where they went.
So they got away.
They got off the plane, and then they were going through the plane, or one next to it, or I don't remember the whole story. But anyway, they found box cutters in the places where the magazines are.
Oh, yeah.
In the plane. And there was a big old hole in the back where you can get down under it, where you can go from and there's always that bit. We've seen this in some of the movies.
Yeah.
Where it's rug covers it, but you pull the rug back, and then there's a lift up thing where you can get down into the electronics and get down into some storage down there and some other stuff. They found that open. And so they think someone might have been in there that was going to pop out like a jack at some point once they got up.
Wow. What was the name of this? Did you watch it on?
It's a TMZ documentary.
Okay.
And I wrote it down the other day about what it was, but see if you can find it about
I'll look for it.
United Flight 23 TMZ documentary, The Fifth Plane.
Okay.
And why no one's ever talked about it, there's just so much stuff. I mean, wow. That's crazy. But I don't know how I even got on that subject, but it's just that, that whole situation of 9/11 brought us together for a little while.
It
Black and white, everything.
It's called Exposing the 9/11 Cover-Up.
Yeah.
TMZ investigates the fifth plane.
The fifth plane.
And it's 39 minutes
see if
long.
You don't believe it. Yeah, and they interviewed the flight attendants and the pilots that are retired.
It's Harvey Levine or Levin or whatever, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
Levin.
he's an attorney. He's pretty careful.
Yeah, he doesn't do it. This is so obviously it's true. I mean,
Yeah. Wow, fascinating. Well, thank you for that. I'm going to watch
So
that.
anyway, that's part of it. But,
Yeah.
We're not together. And I mean, just in my neighborhood and everywhere else I can think of, we're just on opposite forces.
Yeah.
We're just there. And the independents, I mean, wonder where would the country be if Harris had been elected? That I can't answer, but I'm just saying it's an interesting mental exercise.
Since you brought that up, and I wanted to talk a little bit about Abigail Spencer, who did or Spanberger, who did the rebuttal. But before we do that, what's happened to Biden? I have not heard a thing about Joe. I mean,
I don't know if he's well or not.
I don't either. I mean, we haven't seen him. We haven't heard not a word. I mean, it just seems really crazy to me. Interesting.
Well, all of this stuff, and Candace Owen, she's on the Republican team supposedly, but boy, they hate her right now. I mean, the people who are the loud people on the far right, call her depraved, and man, I can't even read you what Mark Levin said. He said that let's see. So Mark Levin. Well, anyway, Ben, I can't read these things. Dan Bongino. Blank yourself, you demonic blanking scum. This is from Dan Bongino to Candace Owens. You deserve to feel the licks of the flames of hell on every inch of your body.
Wow.
He says Bongino told his fans, we have to exercise this cancer.
I have never sat down and listened to a story. I know she's involved in the conspiracy theories regarding Charlie Kirk, and I know Bridget Macron.
She's got a documentary coming out this week on YouTube, apparently, called "The Bride of Charlie," and she ends up wearing a crown at the end of it. But Candace Owens, who I think was kind of a.
I thought she was smart.
She was close with Charlie Kirk and all that.
Fascinating. I mean, well, you remember Bridget Macron. Remember the defamation lawsuit that she was involved in that too, because she said originally that Bridget Macron was born a male. And there was all kinds of transgender conspiracy going on, and I saw just a hint of that, but I never followed up. I've never, dug into it because it didn't interest me too much. But the Charlie Kirk thing is interesting to me, and I'm not sure where she's going with that.
Well, here comes another thing. Says I don't know any of these people, so I'm just reading words.
Yeah.
Far right podcaster Stu Peters, who's a conspiracy peddling shock jock, said this is about Bongino. He's trying to get Candace Owens killed. Social media was flooded since Monday with conservatives branding Owens a demon. The popular right-wing account Cat Turd 2, which has 4 million followers, declared Tuesday she was pure evil and a demon straight from the bowels of hell, and on and on and on. So we've got the Republicans within the Republican Party fighting each other. Yeah. The far right is just going crazy over, just can't get along. And they're really interesting. And then you got the far left with AOC and some of these other, and Omar and all those people. Mm-hmm. And I don't know where all that's going to go with the Somali thing. Is that a true story or not? I hadn't seen anybody go to jail yet.
I haven't either.
On all that either. So what's the story with that? What
disappeared. I mean, it blows my mind how irresponsible. And this is a terrible thing to say, but I'm going to say it. How irresponsible the journalism is right now. The story is massive. We all lose our mind over a story, and then tomorrow, if it's true, and then tomorrow there's another story. Let's say about toothpaste, and boy, we're watching that like a hawk. Or what was the Guthrie case? Or Savannah Guthrie's mom, Nancy, missing. That was all we heard about. And all of a sudden now nothing, which is understood. But some kind of follow-up on that Minnesota stuff would really be nice.
Yeah, or maybe they just can't get anybody to talk, or maybe I
Maybe.
just
I
don't
don't
know.
know
It's just,
either.
why'd they bring it out if there was nobody getting arrested? Why did that even break
Right.
out?
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
just weird. It's just weird, weird,
Agree.
weird. And then everybody, there's still a tremendous. That's another thing on the Democratic side. They are obsessed with taking down anybody on the Epstein story. They somehow think I guess they think they're going to catch Trump in the end.
It's the only thing they could be thinking, Jimmy. That's what motivates that whole group of people. It doesn't matter. It's just get him, get him, get him, get him. We got to get him out.
And then what are you going to do?
Right. What's your plan?
I mean,
what do you have lined up? And they have, so far, I've heard nothing. I wish somebody would hear this and go, hey, we better put together a program.
And look at the military of the United States. They seem to be pretty damn happy.
Yeah, they're fairly
efficient.
They're
getting treated well. Mm-hmm. Now, they're all overseas. And here's another story that's real crazy. They asked the 4 major AI companies, the Jerusalem Post did this, apparently. Ask them, when's the war going to start, with Iran? When's the United States going to do that? So one of the Claude or something wouldn't answer.
Yeah.
And then they finally pushed and got him to say sometime between March 1st and March 16th or something like that.
That's a pretty narrow window.
Yeah, then it even put it even a little further narrow in the first week of as early as February 28th. What's his name? It's Rubio is supposed to go to Israel and be there on the 28th to talk to.
That's this Saturday.
Okay, he's supposed to be there talking with Israelis.
Wow.
And then tomorrow, in fact, I guess soon, a couple of hours, the Americans and the Iranians and all those are supposed to meet in Switzerland and see whether or not, they're going to say, okay, we're going to not do any more nuclear stuff, which they're not going to say.
Yeah.
So we'll see how all that
Wow. Yeah, there's plenty.
Goes crazy, but there's just, it's in America's deadliest fighter jet lands in Israel. U.S. military board's 3rd oil tanker. They're still doing that. Mm-hmm. Did you hear about the Cuban people in the American registered boat getting into a shootout today?
Yeah, I don't understand what happened totally there.
I don't either. And it was a Florida registered boat, and it had somebody on there with a gun. They supposedly shot first at the Cuban Coast Guard people.
Okay.
And then the Cuban Coast Guard people killed 4 of them and wounded the rest and took the wounded people to the hospital. None of that makes any sense to me of what's a Florida registered boat doing down there unless they're trying to pluck people from the island. Sometimes that goes on.
I don't know.
But they had 10 people on a boat. At least the U.S. registered boat had 10 people on there. That seems a little much.
And it was violating the territorial waters.
It was.
So
they were in a mile from shore or something.
Right, right.
And they shot somebody on the Cuban boat. What's they doing with a gun on a boat? Anyway, most people don't have guns on boats.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
There's a story that's out there, and it's buzzing along.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, hopefully we get some info on it.
Figure something out about that.
Interesting.
Let's see if there's anything really. Spring vacations are underway for a lot of people.
Really? I'm not even. We didn't even have winter yet.
Some schools. Some of the cold weather schools. Have really into right now, this week coming up, if not, this week coming up.
Yeah.
Some of the cold weather. The baseball teams are already at spring training.
They've been there in Arizona already and doing that?
Arizona and Florida. They've been going on a week.
I'll be done.
So first day is like in the middle of 20-something of March. It's kind of fun if you've had a real bad winter, which we really haven't.
Yeah.
In the Deep South, we've had a couple.
We haven't either. Yeah.
Pops. Well, they certainly made up for it in the Northeast, though.
Yeah, they got hit hard.
With 30 inches of snow and all that stuff, they got whacked. And so maybe they will need a spring break. I don't really need one this year necessarily. It really hadn't been that bad.
I would agree with you. In fact, the other day I was going to ride my motorcycle. It was so nice out. I was going to be 60 and sunny, and I thought, man, I'm going to take this thing out for a spin. And I called a ski resort to check on some special reservations and things like that to go. And I was told by one of the ski resort people that this wouldn't be a good year to come. Maybe plan it for next year.
Because not enough snow?
The snow was so
or bad
limited.
Snow, or the snow they do have is bad.
Yeah, and I just thought that was crazy. I'm like, is it? We have a few ski resorts right around us, and it has been hit and miss. you got to pick the time you go because sometimes they have it and sometimes they don't. And normally they have it all season.
I guess Squaw Valley and Tahoe and those places.
They
though,
got
I mean,
hammered. They got hammered.
They got lots of snow.
Yeah, you got to go west.
I guess they got their stuff back together. I don't know anything about that, but it's just we live in crazy times, and
I agree.
I think we're I do think that with the redistricting that's happening a lot, it's going to be real hard for the Republicans to keep the House. But also, there's a thing that came out this week. The Democrats are outpacing the Republicans in Texas in voting right now. They're doing early voting.
Oh, really? Fascinating.
There've been more Democrats than Republicans, which doesn't surprise me. It shouldn't. I think the Republicans are not having a lot of sense in this because Democrats are angry and they're motivated.
They are.
And they're built up. They've got Trump derangement syndrome and they're foaming at the mouth.
Yeah.
And they think they can see that they can do stuff. And they're winning these legislative seats in Pennsylvania and a whole bunch of other things. And won the 2 governors, New Jersey and Virginia. And Republicans, I don't think they're that enthusiastic. I don't know. We'll see if the enthusiasm goes up. But right now, I don't think it's there. And I think the enthusiasm is there with the Democrats.
Let me ask you a question because you brought that up. And I'm not saying anything shady's going on because I don't know and I don't have any proof. But what would be the problem of having an ID to vote, since we all have an ID?
I think
anyway.
There's more to that law than just that. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I think there's some other little points in there
that are
besides just that.
Piggyback
I mean, we already have the star driver's license.
Yeah, I've got
and
that.
You have to, and to me, that ought to be enough for anybody. But they're apparently going to require star driver's license to get on a plane.
Yeah, that's already started. That's already started.
That should solve the problem.
Yeah,
if you're going to have it, you either won't have a driver. Maybe they'll start enforcing.
And you can get
the driver's license thing.
Well, and you can get an ID card that has the same stuff if you don't drive. It's not. You have to drive. But I just don't understand. I don't understand the argument against that. Why don't
people had to show 5 IDs to get onto the floor of the State of the Union. And you have to do an ID to get on an airplane. You have to do an ID to drive a car. You have to do all that stuff. But we don't want to make it any harder for people to vote.
Yeah, but don't we want to make it accurate? I mean, I want it accurate. I want it to be the people that are I guess residents of the United States. People who
I don't know that we need to go to paper ballots, but I just want to make sure that these voting machines and everything can't be monkeyed with.
And how would we do it? I don't even know how we do that.
But again, I can't trust the news media to do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Because again, they're so leaning. I canceled I had subscriptions, and I'm going to probably add a subscription to maybe the Orlando Sentinel.
Okay.
And I've noticed that I'm looking at them some, and I might want to subscribe to them. But I canceled the Washington Post, and I'm real close to canceling the New York Times because I saw someone said they did that. Said because everything you read in the New York Times is from a leaning left point of view. I just want the story. I don't want a leaning left or a leaning right point of view. I just want the story. I want the news.
Agreed.
I want both sides. I want to hear, when it's appropriate, both sides. But I don't want to read something where I don't know the subtlety from some, far right kook or a far left kook writing something. And I don't know that it's a far right or right. And I can't tell because they didn't expose themselves on that particular piece of journalism. But it was slanted to how they thought in the questions and everything else. So
do you think
be fair, man? Just be fair.
But I don't even know if they can anymore because I feel
I don't think they can.
I feel like the rage either way, either side.
This woman's trying to that got hired from wherever she got hired from by the new owners of CBS and Paramount to go in there and to try to push CBS News toward the center.
Wow, good luck.
Where people feel like that they're hearing both sides of a story. And they had a town hall the other night with the governor of Maryland, and that certainly was giving the left side exposure. And I would hope that they would do it with some governor of some other state. And I just think fairness is just it's few and far between.
I would agree, and I watched a little bit, not a lot, of the rebuttal, which is always interesting to the State of the Union. But I wonder if she's a Virginia governor, Abigail.
Well, she ran to be that she was going to be a moderate, and she's turned out that she's someone's given her the juice, and she's over on the left, pretty far left.
Is that
she was again? It was, but they know. See, they've done their research. Democrats are not stupid. They've done their research, and they know that the negatives on Trump are very high.
Yeah.
And if they can get these independents, because again, the far right people, there's nothing you can do to change it.
They're not going to go
motivate them to go to the polls, but they're not even that excited about that because they're still, in glory, glory, hallelujah that Trump won. Now on the other side, they're just so angry that they're very motivated to go for any election that's going on and vote Democrat. They don't care if it's somebody that hadn't got a good sense. If it's Democrat, they're going to vote for him.
Well, that's what I was thinking, and maybe she's the one they're going to push forward, but I don't know.
She may see herself as a vice presidential, or the first, somehow female president.
Who knows?
People look in those mirrors after they get elected, start seeing other offices.
Yeah.
And
wow.
You've got some people that aren't far crazy, that are in the Democratic Party, and they're out there that could run. And there are some good people, Rubio's cash is pretty high right now.
Yeah.
His stock, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know about Vance's is. I think they think that's a foregone conclusion. I don't know that it is.
I don't either.
He gets it.
I don't either.
But
I don't know.
There are some others, and Newsom, God help us. We certainly don't need him.
That cannot be.
There are some governors, a couple of governors that are pretty sharp on the Democratic side, and I just think if you had someone acting reasonable, that it's because the elections are bought and sold in the independent department.
Yeah, they
used to call it the soccer mom. That had it, and if you had somebody reasonable, family person, that wasn't out there just pushing every left wing idea that's out there, the trans stuff and all the other things, the independents might go for that. The far left might tolerate it, thinking they could change it, and then the Republicans shoot, being the gang that can't shoot straight.
Yeah,
they're doing a circular firing squad.
Well, and let's not forget what you just said in regards to Spanberger, and that was they run on something different than they actually are.
Yes, that happens a lot.
And there's some of that. And so do we believe what they're saying? And obviously, we've never believed politicians. I mean, over the years,
not in her case, but I do like the governor of New Jersey. What little I've seen of her.
Yeah, you had mentioned that
she'd been handling herself real well during the snow disasters, and so they're good people on the Democratic side.
Sure, they're good people.
But all we ever see are the extremes.
Yeah, you're right.
All we ever see are the extremes on both sides, because that's just what they do for ratings or social media or whatever. And really, I think the country is not in on in a majority way in on the trans thing. They're not in on a lot of issues that are on the far left side, but the borders being closed, I think a majority of people like that.
I think so too.
And I don't think they want to ever go back where they're just going to open the borders and let everybody in.
No, I think we're seeing some of the residuals of that right now, and I think that people can see what happened, and it's fascinating because there's a saying, and we've heard it our whole lives: hindsight's 20/20. It is really. I mean, you look back and you go, "Wow, we shouldn't have done that." But I don't know if that was a mistake or more of an on purpose. Event.
There are some people up there in the Trump world, and I don't see much written about him. Occasionally, I'll see something out there about Stephen Miller, and he's been the firebrand that's been behind a lot of these things, including, I think, some of the boo-boos involving immigration. And just keep your eye on him, and we'll see what's going on. I think Trump still loves him. But he's been some of the stuff that's out there that I don't know that everybody is for. And the immigration, that old guy that runs, that's running ICE now, he worked for Obama and he worked for everybody.
He's been for all the parties.
And he seems level-headed. But they get these chants about ICE or Epstein or whatever the secret word is today, and they just wear it out until they find another secret word. And they're still trying to find, it's like watching Family Feud. They're waiting to find that golden number that'll take Trump down.
Yeah. Wow, Jimmy.
You know, how about the guy with the gas can and the shotgun? I want to hear a little bit more about that guy. I haven't seen a lot of follow-ups on that, of who he was.
You're talking about the guy that got into Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah, how did he get all whacked out, to do that?
I don't know. And he's a young kid. It looks like he's a young kid.
He wasn't even a gun guy. He bought the shotgun on the way down and stuff. I want to hear, but it's just...
I think we go back to mental health. I mean, I think that's one of those.
Big time.
But I don't know in this country. I mean, the way things are right now, I would say mental health is affecting 90% of the people.
Well, it's just you have a lot of people infected. The young men of this country, have been neutered, through a lot of bad talking during the last administration. And you've got people that don't know what sex they are, which is confusing. It seems to be a pretty simple question, but you have more and more people going, wackadoodle on that. And you're seeing suicide rates
very high,
up, in so many things. And
it's a shame.
It's troubling as a parent, as a grandparent, as just a citizen of the United States.
Agree.
Man, I just want, I just want us to have a peaceful country. I don't want to be looking over my shoulder every 2 seconds when I get in my car to see if somebody's going to carjack me. I don't want to be worried that someone's going to break into my house constantly.
Right.
That I'm going to shoot them or something. I don't want to be thinking about that.
Yeah.
And I just get tired of the rhetoric on both sides that's so caustic.
I agree, and
it's just like spit battery acid from both sides of the fence all
constantly,
day long.
Constantly. There's never.
And I just want to see these people in binding arbitration, where they have to get in a room and you don't let them out without food and water until they come up with a decision.
And that would be ideal. I mean, that would be ideal. We used to talk about, shot collars or, boxing rings for some of these politicians. But I think you're right, Jimmy, because it doesn't affect them directly. It affects the people that support or don't support them, but it doesn't affect them. They still get everything they need. They still get everything they want. So it's really puzzling to me that we can sit back as a society and be like, yeah, that's fine. You guys go ahead and hit the yachts and the clubs and the golf courses and all that good stuff while we don't get a paycheck, and then we'll check back in a couple weeks. Maybe we'll be okay. It doesn't make sense.
But one of the craziest stories of our time, really, is this Epstein thing.
It is wacky
because it's taken down people and governments over in England and in Norway.
Oh gosh, yeah. I just saw a Bill Gates apology.
I don't know why he had to admit this, but Bill Gates has come out and said that he had affairs with 2 Russian women.
And it was a mistake.
One that he met at a bridge tournament, and another one who was a nuclear physicist or something that he met at a conference or whatever.
Well, we know now a little bit more about the divorce, don't we? I mean,
yeah. And
wow.
It's just, why do we need to know all that stuff? Why is it all coming out? I don't know that, it's.
I don't know.
He was a big Democrat supporter too.
Yeah. And they pushed and pushed and pushed, and here we go. My play on that is there's so many people on that list, it's going to implicate hundreds and hundreds.
At the end of the day, all they care about is bumping Trump. Whatever they got to do.
You're right.
To get him whatever creek they've got to go look into.
Yeah.
Whatever they've got to do.
Wow.
And it's just, it's Trump derangement syndrome. He really makes people mad. He makes people crazy because he is so caustic, and telling people they're crazy from up there and then embarrassing, people and just, oh Lord.
It's wild. We live in a wild time, but here's why I'm glad, Jimmy. I'm glad we've got you. I'm glad we've got Sweeping the Country. I'm glad, we have family, and we all know because we live in neighborhoods and we have family and we know people. There's so many good people in the world. It's not all bad news all the time.
And I just don't want to hear, but this stuff is like flames all around us. You can't get away from it unless you just stick your head in the ground.
Well,
but you can because you've got to keep up with what's going on. You've got to stay engaged. You really do.
Yeah.
And we got to continue to strive to demand fairness and try to save journalism, save these we need to have people that can make these politicians accountable.
Yes.
That's the good side of news. When they can make the politicians accountable, they just can't get away with everything in the world.
And that's when they discover what truth is. And
Right.
that's the key. I mean, we want the honest to goodness truth. That's it.
There's a lot of billions floating around with that federal government, whether it's being stolen in the Somali thing or being,
Who knows? Yeah.
Crapped away with some other boondoggle.
Yeah, somebody please finish the story. Somebody go get the rest of the story and finish it, and let's get to the bottom of it.
And I just hope that we don't, sit up one day where we got no radio, we've got no commercial radio or TV. All we got is social media.
Oof.
And
we're right there.
I think there's a real chance that could happen.
We are right there.
And I just hope that just for our country's sake, it doesn't happen.
I agree. Until next time on Sweeping the Country, when we do it all again, I'm Derek Walker. He is
Jimmy Carter. Good day.